Hey, it's Andy here. Will Social Security run out? Short answer is no, it will not, but sort of. It may sort of. I'll explain what I mean by that. So I want to dispel two common myths that are thrown around much more than they should be. First is that Social Security is going to run out. Okay, let me address that. So Social Security is not going to run out. What is projected to eventually run out is the Social Security Trust Fund. So let's step back and explain how Social Security actually works, and this will make more sense. So Social Security is a national sort of welfare tax, well-being tax. It's not an account you open up for yourself or that's opened up for you. It's a tax, sort of like property tax. You pay in because the government says you have to. You may or may not get services, that benefit you from paying that tax. Like if you have kids in school, in public schools in the town, then yes, some of your tax money goes to pay for teachers and books and whatever that your kids, your family benefits from. If you don't have kids in the school, guess what? You get no benefit, no direct benefit at least, from the portion of your real estate tax that goes to pay for public education. So in Social Security, you pay in. The money you pay in isn't directly earmarked for you. It's a pay-as-you-go system. Those that are currently working and earning wages or self-employment pay payroll tax into the Social Security system. The monies that are paid in each year are turned around, paid back out to those that are actually receiving Social Security benefits, whether it's retirees, surviving spouses of retirees, those on Social Security disability. There's something called SSI, which is sort of supplemental income for certain elderly and lower income folks. So people currently working pay in, people currently receiving Social Security get that money paid out to them. So the way the system works is money's paid in. Any money that is not paid out in the current year to people receiving Social Security, the excess goes into a trust fund, stays in this pot, in this trust fund. Any given year, to the extent the money paid in exceeds what goes out, the trust fund grows in size. Or vice versa. Any given year where the money paid in is less than what's getting paid out to recipients, the difference comes from the trust fund. So again, there's a shortfall of what's coming in versus what's going out. The trust fund tops up that difference. It's the trust fund that's projected to run out based on the most recent Social Security Annual Trustees Report, which came out, I think, in June of 2021, which means we should have the new one fairly soon in, I think, June of 2022. Based on the last Trustees Report, the Social Security system was taking in more income than was paying out every year. So the trust fund has been growing. Specifically, a trust fund was currently, as of the time, just shy of $3 trillion of excess money sitting in the Social Security system. And just put some numbers around the comings and goings, there's $1.1 trillion of income in 2020 into the Social Security system. The vast majority of it was payroll taxes. When you work, if you have self-employment, the taxes you pay, mandatorily pay into the Social Security system, that was over $1 trillion across everyone who worked in the US. To a lesser extent, there's some interest. The money in the trust fund earns interest. There was, I think, $76 billion of interest that was added to the pot. And then also a little bit of the federal income tax on Social Security also goes into the pot. That wasn't very much. I think that was $40 billion maybe. And then so 1.1 trillion came in, 1.1 trillion came out, but I'm rounding. So technically, I think it was like $11 billion less went out than came in. So the trust fund grew by $11 billion last year. And like I said, it's roughly 3 trillion. It's 2.9 something trillion dollars. So that's how the system works. Now, the projection is that the trust fund may run out by 2035, or maybe it's 2034, if there's no changes made to the system. But that's all based on some hypotheticals and guessing and actuarial science and assumptions about how long people will live, how many people will work, how many people are going to retire, etc. So what's going to happen is it's projected that I think at some point this year, 2022, that it's going to flip such that there's no longer more money coming in than is going out. It's going to invert. There'll now be less money coming in than there is going out. And that trend is anticipated to grow throughout the years. So that means, like I said, the deficit each year is going to have to get funded by tapping into the trust fund, which is basically a pot of reserves. That's what it's there for, to start depleting the trust fund to make whole all the payments going out. And it's anticipated, like I said, with no change to the system, that trust fund will deplete by 2034, 2035. So that much is factual. Well, at least it's anticipated, I should say, not factual, because who knows exactly when it's going to happen. So that's true. That's why I said sort of Social Security may run out. but payments will not stop. There's still going to be, whatever, $1 trillion-ish coming in every year from people who are working and paying in, plus a little bit of interest on whatever's in the trust fund. Well, I guess there won't be any trust fund at the time, so take that back. But there'll be, whatever, $1 trillion coming in, something more than $1 trillion going out, if and when the trust fund depletes. That's the issue. So if there's no changes made, if and when the trust fund does deplete, then there'll be no other option other than to reduce the amount of payments actually going out. So that means people who are supposed to be getting, I'm making up a number, $1,000 a month, they're only going to get $750 a month. Where to get $750 from? In the last trustees report, they said if there's no changes, one of the fixes would be after 2034, 2035, when the trust fund depletes, all benefits would need to get reduced by about 25% from what they're supposed to be. I believe that was the number. And again, that'll revise throughout the years as the trustees update their report every year. So that's not cool. A roughly 25% reduction in benefits for everyone, current and future, benefit recipients. That's not cool. But it's also very, very different than benefits stopping completely. Benefits are not drying up. Benefits are not going away. The absolute worst case projection so far is if nothing changes and the future plays out as the Social Security actuaries anticipate it may, all benefits will have to get reduced by about 25%. So not an ideal scenario, clearly, but substantially better than the buzz and the clickbait and the fake news that Social Security is going away. Categorically false, okay? That's the first myth. The other myth, I want to say, it's sort of related but not really, this one really irks me, is that those darn politicians raided the trust fund, stole from the trust fund, took money out of Social Security, never paid it back. That is also categorically false. That has never happened. What does happen, I gotta admit though, it does make for juicy banter for anti-government folk. And don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily a fan of the government, but I gotta give them, defend where defense is due. That's just a flat out lie that the government took money or stole money or raided Social Security. What does happen is all the money that sits in the trust fund, that $3 trillion currently, all of it gets invested in U.S. government debt. So technically, yes, all the money in the trust fund is borrowed by the government and is used for general government spending, whatever it may be. But all that money has always been paid back with interest. Like I said, in 2020, there was $76 billion of interest paid into the Social Security Trust Fund. So I would actually argue that the government borrowing money out of the trust fund is actually a good thing, because if it didn't, there wouldn't be interest on that. So the borrowings led to $76 billion of additional money into the Social Security system due to the government borrowing. So yes, the government does borrow every dollar in the trust fund. That is factually accurate, but they always pay it back with interest. It's a very different story than the government raided it, stole from it, took money from it, swindled it. Absolutely categorically false. So just remember that next time you hear someone say those darn politicians raided the trust fund. Did not happen. All right, that's it. Hope you found this helpful. Take care.